Hello everybody, hope you're having a great time. Here we have an 11 spell space swag. This is an Eternal AQ charge, Ice Golem surgical attack strategy. And here we have a 14 spell space swags. You cannot swag any more spells than this. This is as broken as the game gets. Here we have another 14 spell space swag. We're going to have two more 14 spell space swags, and I'm going to teach you how to unlock and just everything in the game, just completely beat Clash of Clans. This is an endgame strategy because once you learn this, it will be hard to do other attacks because it's just so surgical and so satisfying. Another 14 spell space swag. And make sure to check the comments and in the description because I'm going to include 6 practice spaces that you can swag all 14 spells on so that you can get a hang for the timing, because this is a highly synergistic attack strategy that really relies on the timing and placements of your heroes and your troops. So make sure to follow that link, download those bases, copy them over, and then you will be swagging all 14 spells in no time. So what I look for in bases, I look for Flame Flinger value, and I look for an entry point for my AQ and BK, because we need to meet up our BK with our AQ so that we can use his EQ boots to open up the core for our Archer Queen. And important to notice, a Warden can jump over walls and he can hit the defenses that are 5 tiles behind the walls, whereas an Archer Queen cannot. So going to use a Warden to create a funnel here at the 6 o'clock compartment because I want to break the AQ in at the Fire Spitter compartment, directly behind the Fire Spitter, so we can preserve our healers, because the Fire Spitter is one of the worst defenses in the game for eliminating your heroes' healers, especially with an AQ, because the AQ, as I said before, shorter range, so she brings the healers in closer to her targets and often brings them within closer range to the Fire Spitters. So Warden, notice this multi-Inferno Tower. Archer Queen would not have been able to reach that. So going to use the Warden to eliminate that multi-Inferno Tower, and then we can drop our AQ to pull our Warden to the Fire Spitter compartment. So being patient, Warden eliminates, getting the Warden to come back to the AQ, sending in an Ice Golem. And the reason why we're sending in Ice Golems is to preserve our hero abilities, because we want to use our giant magic mirror on the AQ in the core. We want to use our Eternal Tome in the core. We have the passive ability of the Rage Gem, and that is just giving this AQ more damage and more health from the healers. So now we have the AQ in the core, and she's distracting a bunch of these core defenses. Notice the Expo, see all these defenses locked onto her. So while she is distracting these defenses, we send in the RC to the side of her to take advantage of those tanked defenses and to also help keep the AQ in the core. And notice the 2 levels of protection. We had AQ ability, we also had Warden Eternal Tome ability. So that's what makes this attack strategy so strong. Why it is an eternal AQ charge, because if you get in trouble with your AQ, you have 2 get out of jail free cards. You have the AQ ability, where you go invisible for a split second, spawn the 2 clone queens, and the giant, which is basically a second BK, and then you have the Eternal Tome. And it's always nice to pair the magic mirror with the Eternal Tome. I like to use the AQ ability first, and then watch the main queen, and if the main queen's about to die, then I press the Eternal Tome. Alright, attack 2, and the next 4 attacks are not going to use a single spell. Absolutely insane. Strongest strat in the game. Everybody likes to say broken strat, everybody likes to say this is the strongest strat in the game. This is actually the strongest strat in the game, but you have to be good, which is a nice little boost to those technical attackers. This will give you a nice little reward of absolutely just destroying bases. So using the Warden to create a funnel for the AQ, we located some Flame Flinger value, some really nice Flame Flinger value over here, specifically because the Flame Flinger should be able to eliminate 2 of these Ricochet Cannons. See those Ricochet Cannons right next to that multi-archer tower? And the Ricochet Cannons are absolutely just insanely strong against this strat because of the Ricochet's second shot. So when we pull the Warden with our AQ, the Ricochet's second shot can kill our Warden because he has just over half the hit points of the AQ. So your AQ will appear to be healthy where your warden will die right away, and also the ricochet cannon will kill your spirit fox off of your RC. Notice the hook. BK gets hooked. Whenever I see a hook base, I immediately try to devise a plan where I can get my BK in to get hooked. So now the BK has opened up all these walls for our AQ, and we're just sprinkling in these ice golems so that we can save our Magic Mirror Giant and save our Warden Eternal Tome ability for deeper into the base where there's more damage coming at our heroes. So now sprinkling in, trying to time these headhunters. Headhunters, I don't know why they walk the way they do, but they are all over the place. Really hard to pad them. Sending in the RC to keep the AQ directed towards this Town Hall compartment, and that is a hallmark of this attack strategy. You use the RC to keep your AQ in the middle of the base so that the AQ can tank for your RC. Now going to ability with the RC, using the Rocket Spear, and notice the RC will be underneath this Eternal Tome if we use the Eternal Tome. AQ goes to ability, Giant, and the crazy thing about a Giant is it beats through these walls. Before the Giant came, the biggest hang-up in this attack strategy was the AQ getting stuck on walls in the core, because you had your BK to come in at the beginning and open up the walls, but you didn't really have anything to open up the rest of the walls. But now we've got the Giant, which is basically a second BK that we get to spawn deep into the base to open up the walls and just to swag a bunch of spells. We get to swag every single spell. So absolute domination. This is the best strat, and the best thing about it is that it opens up all the other attacks, because all these spells that we're swagging at the end, we can invest at the beginning and bring back Blizzard, Skelly Donut, Zaps, Giant Arrow Zap, FB Giant Arrow for the Town Hall, and even Hero Swag City, which is my favorite attack in the game. So, Warden, and we are again creating a funnel for our AQ. And notice the Fire Spitters. Fire Spitters are both facing down, so we want to come in from behind the Fire Spitters. We have the Flame Flinger up at 12, and the Flame Flinger is creating a funnel for when we take our Queen and lure the Warden up towards 12. This way, we will not have to scramble and invest a bunch of troops to create a funnel to get them to go in by the Town Hall and by this Fire Spitter compartment. Got a Wizard eliminating that Hero Hall, and notice the Warden was able to get through this entire section by himself. If you encounter a Ricochet Cannon and an Expo at the same time, you cannot get through them without having to use a spell. However, I'm trying to raise awareness of this attack strategy by swagging all 14 spells as often as I can, so I'm purposely picking locations that the Warden go where he will not have to have a spell invested. But if you remember that first attack, we had to use a Rage just to get the Warden through it. Again, Ice Golem comes in, BK, once he's close to the walls, once he's to a point where he can open up as many walls for the AQ as possible, we use his EQ boot ability. Notice his Fire Spitter facing at our AQ. Luckily, our healers are out of range currently. Enemy AQ is going to be dealt with by the super minions and the furnace that comes out of the CC. I like to use 3 super minions with 1 furnace because the fire mites will pull a hero close to the edge of the base, and then that hero will, since he's lured to the edge of the base, the super minions can deal with them without having to go into the base and get killed. So again, sprinkling in these ice golems for our RC. I like to use 2 to 3 ice golems for the AQ and BK at the beginning, and then 2 to 3 ice golems for the RC. And notice the RC is just doing a parallel spirit walk right next to the AQ. Our AQ gets in trouble, AQ goes to ability, AQ gets in trouble again, we use the Eternal Tome. RC to ability, Rocket Spear, and the great thing about Rocket Spear is it pauses up your RC, slows her, stops her dead in her tracks so that your AQ can push out in front of your RC and then further tank defenses. So highly synergistic, so definitely download the practice bases where I explain exactly how to triple them without any spells, and then get used to tripling them without any spells, and then you can add the spells back in. It's insane. And make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Alright, so again, identifying the base, identifying Flame Flinger value, bunch of Flame Flinger value over here to the left, and identifying where we want our AQ charge to go. So notice the hook tower. want to get the BK hooked. So gonna go ahead, drop a wizard down here at 6, and this way the BK won't be distracted on these outside trash buildings. He'll be able to push up closer to the core of the base so he can get hooked faster. Sending in an Ice Golem, and this Ice Golem is basically just to distract these defenses, freeze them up, to give the BK a little bit more health, to make sure that the BK ability will be used in the core, because we don't want the BK to go to ability before he gets hooked. So BK gets hooked to ability, another Ice Golem sneaks in, hopefully to freeze up this Ricochet Cannon and Fire Spitter for our AQ. AQ takes out the Ricochet Cannon, freezes up this other Fire Spitter for our RC, and Fire Spitters are dangerous for your RC because, again, the Fire Spitter will peel off your Spirit Fox. So these Ice Golems, their freeze duration is 9 seconds. It's absolutely insane, and the reason why Ice Golems are the best is because Town Hall 17 came out with a ton of multi-targeting defenses. They really, Supercell decided to fight spam offense with spam defense, and it was a bad idea. It really removed some technicality from the game. However, we're going to counter that with Ice Golems, and this is basically a Lalo, a ground Lalo, only with Ice Golems to distract these defenses. Think of the Ice Golems as hounds going to the air defenses, only our air defenses that we're trying to target are Ricochet Cannons and multi-archer towers. So now RC pushes into the Town Hall, AQ steps up, base is absolutely wrecked. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. It just doesn't. So highly recommend, like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, and again, download the practice bases so you can get in on this, because nothing is as fun as swagging every single spell and doing a cool big smiley face on the base. And you can do a frowny face if you're feeling mean, but let's just end it at the frowny face. Nothing meaner than the frowny face. We want smiles. Help everybody recognize the Smiley Swag Killer strat and to come over and subscribe. Alright, so Warden, creating a funnel again. We are going to be entering in from 12. And the reason why we're going to enter in here is because we're going to try to come in from behind this one Fire Spitter. We're going to have to face the farther away Fire Spitter. But what makes 12 a very nice entry point is it is a big compartment. So Warden clears off everything he needs to clear. We drop AQ, pulls the Warden, a Yeti with a Wizard to help the Yeti push through a little bit faster, sending in some Rocket Loons. Notice the Rocket Loons come down on top of that mortar, and that's a nice use of these Rocket Loons because your Ice Golems, they do not do any damage. They just stall up defenses. So we need the Rocket Loons or a Wizard or a Yeti or a Valkyrie to help our Ice Golems push farther into the core. Right now our BK is getting hit by this Monolith, trying to direct target with some Rocket Loons. The Earthquake weakens the Monolith and the Rocket Loons come in and destroy the Monolith. Ice Golem freezes up the Town Hall, sending in another Rocket Loon to test for these black air bombs because our sneezy projectiles will not eliminate them. And now the biggest problem we have is our AQ managed to wrap around and not take out that closest to her at the beginning Fire Spitter. So we have to burn ability with our AQ and our Warden, and we're just paying attention. We have our RC working on the outside, keeping the AQ in the core, benefiting from, just look at the Expo focused on the inside Giant and the AQ. And now we have Ice Golems on the outside edge to stall up for our RC. And notice how we're trying to target these Ricochet Cannons. So Ricochet Cannon, completely distracted, RC steps up, and notice the Fox just died. We have an Expo stalled up on Velks. Velks are typically for cleanup, Wizards as well, or to help Ice Golems push through outside defenses, typically a Mortar. Typically use the Velks for Mortar, and we swag all 14 spell space. Does not get any better than this. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Spread this to everybody, hype the video, and thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys next time. Make sure to download the practice bases. Bye.